Area.
And we are back after I don't know how long it's been, but I just want to say thank you to everyone for being patient because the Last Set podcast is officially back.
Woo!
We're back in the hot seat.
We're
and
banging.
Believe it or not, I mean, there's a story of why I wanted to get you two back.
Really? Because I thought I was just in the shower having a mad time, and they got a message from you saying, "Boys, you want to come back?" I was like, "Sure, I got nothing on this weekend. Let's go."
Well, I don't want to get too sentimental. I don't want to get too much into it. But these last few months have been, I'm not going to say like level 10 rough, somebody's dying, but have been a period of hardship for me.
Yeah.
And financial, physical, all that bullshit, or emotional, all that stuff. And the thing is, though, for me, I've always seen podcasting as just a form of release and just, you know, just having a chat, you know, talking to people. It's always been a form of release and not been able to do it.
Yeah.
And I had to put it to the side to deal with the things I'm going through.
Yeah.
But now that it's, you know, that it's back, the reason why I wanted to have you guys on is because in the last few months when I was going through everything.
I know what's going on. Keep going. I've already seen it. Yeah, go, Joe. Go, Joe. Yeah.
I've been pretty much just saying to myself, you know, do the work, keep showing up, and God will take care of you.
Come on, man.
And
Called it. I knew it.
And whatever happens, you know, it's out of your hands. It's in God's hands.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, and for some people, they think, oh, that's crazy. But there is so much emotional, there is so much emotional relief you get from saying something like that, of just accepting, you know, that there are things beyond your control, but, you know, God does have a plan. And I never really saw myself as a religious person.
Yeah.
But over these last couple of months, I started to steer more down those lines. Like I started reading the Bible.
Awesome. Nice.
And then I started, you know, writing, you know, I recently just started praying. I'm not saying I'm super religious. I'm open to everything. I'm very transparent with everything. But there is a lot of benefit I'm getting now going down this road. Yeah. And the reason why that is because you two are the only people I've ever had a conversation with something along those lines with.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
Podcast. Now, the next thing as well, you guys, I didn't get to tell you this personally. The podcast we did where we talked mad shit for an hour and a half.
Yeah. The last one we did.
Was actually the most downloaded episode of
no
2022.
Way. No way.
You guys won.
We did it.
We did it.
Most downloaded episode 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
You guys got over a total of 450 downloads.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
That's good. You
That's
second place was around just under 400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 more.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny.
I mean, I think I've accumulated over last year was about, I don't know the exact figure, but it was over 10,000 downloads.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Because I'd put out over about 70 episodes. No, how many episodes? It was over 50 episodes last year.
Yeah.
And you guys were up there, so.
And you had some top guests.
Yeah,
you had some legit guests up there.
I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, you had some legit guests that were big names in the fitness industries. Like you had some baddies, you had some hotties, you had some smart dudes. So I'm pretty surprised ourselves that we got top, even though you had a really highly caliber list you had last year from what I was looking at. It was good.
Oh, it was just consistency. That's it. Once a week, every week. I was in a position where I had the money, had the work ethic to put it out there. And then what happened was, I think I want to hit 150. That's when I put out a Patreon account.
Yeah.
And then obviously I suspended the Patreon account in January when I wasn't putting out the content, because obviously I can't just take people's money for nothing and not give them anything in return. So that's why. But yeah, I was like, holy shit. Then I got I had a height where I felt to myself, fuck, this can be something. This can really be something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be huge, but a little bit of something enough that people are going to want to tune into.
Yeah.
And then everything sort of fell away side. And then, it was right at that, but I thought I was hitting a peak.
Yeah.
That's when, it comes for you. And I think there's a famous quote someone said was, when you're at your highest, that's when the devil comes for you.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you quote me on that?
Well, I don't know that exact quote, but it sounds about right. There's that old quote that you probably remember as well, the whole new levels, new devils thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, new levels, new devils. Like I said, in general, even not being spiritual, once someone knows you got potential, that's when everything comes at you. That's when the devil really wants to get at you. Even not even speaking about it at all, but if you find anyone that gets any moderate level of success, that's when the haters come. You know what I'm saying? You find that criticism, it just comes out of nowhere. But speaking of that, there's actually a good book that you should read, Joe. That actually Brandon gave me a book. It's called Peaks and Valleys. It's a really good book. Okay. You'd actually really like. It's a really one of the most easiest, simple books to read. It's tiny. You can literally read it in like 1 or 2 days. But for listeners out there, it's called Peaks and Valleys. I can't remember who the author was.
I'll get it up.
Pull it up, Jamie. But it's a really, really simple book to read. And literally, it's probably one of the top 5 books that will change your life that anyone can read.
It's strange because I've never heard of this one before.
It's good. Who's it by, Brando?
Spencer Johnson.
That's it,
so
Spencer
he's the guy
Johnson.
that wrote Who Took My Cheese, for all the business people out there.
That one, yes. I've heard of that one.
So if you so Spencer Johnson, he's a legit, he's a top man, he's a badass.
I mean, another really good one that's very similar to Peaks and Valleys is The Alchemist.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that one.
Everyone's heard of that.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm actually I'm reading a book called Humble: Surviving in a Narcissistic World.
Yeah, nice.
Because recently when I've always had this attitude that I'm not saying I hate talking about my problems, but I hate sharing my problems to the public.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna, I've always had the idea that if you're having a good time and you're doing well, enjoy it, but don't brag.
Yeah.
But also when you're going through hardship, put your head down and don't complain.
Yeah.
That's how I've been it. And then when I was going through what I was going through, the last thing I wanted to see was people doing well on social media. So I completely got off social media. So I spent over a month. I've spent, I think, nearly 2 months now since I've been back.
That's pretty good, man. I'd recommend everyone to like do a social media what would that word be? Debrief.
Or even just a
detox.
Detox. That's the word. Yeah, it's so good for you. It's so healthy.
I miss the memes though.
Yeah, the memes. the memes are funny.
I just share them with Jamil now.
Oh, bro,
I don't post anything. I just share them.
He just shares me all these memes now, out of nowhere. But it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny because I'll get a call from my mate and he'd be like, "Dude, was something up? Something wrong with you?" I was like, "Why? What do you mean?" He goes, "It's been 6 days. You haven't responded to any of the memes I sent."
Oh yeah, bro, yeah. I know that pain.
Yeah.
But I've been on the other side of it where like dudes would be like sending me memes. I'm like, I barely even know who you are. Why are you saying this? I'm leaving you unseen. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So now, obviously, Brandon, I didn't want to put you too much in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
But you told me earlier before the podcast that your wife is now expecting.
Yeah.
He's on his way to being a baby
daddy.
Did I miss your bridal shower?
No, not yet.
That's the next one.
Yeah, I think that's
because I remember Jess put up a post up saying, "Oh, the dog's really excited." I was like, "Oh my gosh, was it this weekend?"
No, that was like a family thing.
That was a family thing, but the next one's coming up soon, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, for listeners out there, I'm like the worst best friend. I get invited to like these like top family like iconic moments, and I'll forget. In proof, he invited me to his like surprise birthday party last year.
I didn't invite you.
No,
Someone else did.
No, his wife did. Jess did, and I totally forgot about it and missed out about it because I literally just forgot about it. Well, it was one of those Facebook secret messenger groups. I just did not open the secret messenger group because it was just randoms popping off. So I muted the group chat, and then I realized that because I muted the group chat, I forgot the dates and I missed his birthday party last year. His surprise birthday party last year.
That was funny though because it was my 30th birthday.
Oh, it's a big one.
And my dad took me out. Doesn't usually happen, but it was my birthday, so I was like, okay, this isn't too weird.
Okay.
And then as we're driving back to my house, I see one of the lights on in the front. I'm like, oh, that light's never on. And then we park, and Dad's like, oh, let's go through the front. I'm like, no, let's go through the back.
Yeah.
So I go through the back. All the lights are off except for the front light. And I see people in there. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm about to fight someone. And I go through, and they're all facing the front door, thinking that I'm going to go in through there. And I open the door, and go, oh, and everyone turns around and goes, surprise! I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so you didn't sneak up behind him and perform a silent takedown on someone?
Yeah, there were like 30 people in there. I was like, I'm either going to die or this is going to be a fight.
Wow, so 30 and about to become a dad.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Old?
Old.
Really? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Like, I feel good. I feel pretty good about it all. Like I shared, so we tried 2 years ago, so 2021, and unfortunately we lost them. So we had twins and lost them. So we had enough of a break, and when that first happened, that was a surprise.
Yeah. Now, I just wanted to ask you real quick, did you know if one of the was it male or boy?
It was too early with the twins.
Because do you reckon if it was two boys, you take Jamil's name? and then they name them after
One
him.
of them is Jamil.
I think we've spoken that in the
Jamil and
past.
Joe.
I think I'm dead seriously spoken about. I was like, Brandon, if you have a son, their middle name has to be Jamil somehow. I think I've mentioned that to you somehow.
So many of my friends say that. Like, oh, you have to name your son after me. Why?
Yeah.
Our old mate Josh. Anyway,
move on.
That's all. I mean, that's awesome though. I was gonna say, Jamil, don't you have like 4 kids or 5 kids in Thailand or something? Like
Thailand, you know, Joe, that I don't go for Asians. Brandon knows this. I hate Asian birds, eh?
Oh, wow.
Especially fresh off the boat ones, eh? And I can say that, especially the ones that can't speak it. If there's a language barrier, I'm sorry, I'm out. The only language barrier I will accept is if they're German or Swedish. That's about it. But no.
Tall, skinny, blonde girls.
Nice.
Brandon knows that. Brandon knows. If they're tall, skinny, blonde, then I'm sorry that I'll fall under the first meeting, eh?
So what's your type then?
I literally just said it.
Oh.
It's like in Zoolander. So why man models? I literally just explained that.
Man.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, here's another thing I've actually want to bring up though. I feel like now more than ever, the style of podcasting that we have like this is becoming more and more sought after.
Yeah.
The one thing I can't get away from is just all these people putting clips, and it's just like those podcasts like Fresh and Fit where it's just 2 dudes and then it's like 11 girls around the table.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just one of those podcasts you listen to that just make you want to like pull your hair out.
Yeah.
Because
it's just like back and forth, belittling.
The YouTube algorithms got me steaming lately.
Yeah.
So I'll jump. So okay, I'm pretty healthy in the mornings. I get up and do the whole routine and all that sort of stuff, and then every now and then I'll scroll. Yeah. And the mornings I scroll on YouTube because I don't do the scroll on Instagram or anything else. That just pisses me off. YouTube is usually pretty good because I do like the short form video stuff. So I'll scroll through, and it's now got me. The algorithm is basically just like what is it? The feminists versus
same.
Every time, and it's like that podcast, and these like girls who are uneducated. They're just pretty girls, and they're arguing the point for feminism. And the guys that seem to have read up on it all are just sitting there like explaining the situation. The girls get super mad, and then it ends up being like this cross-desk talk where they're just angry at each other. I'm like, what is this even about? Why are we yelling about?
It's just, it doesn't make, I don't get how you can just listen to it. It's, the thing is, a podcast I always thought was audio format.
Yeah.
If I've always said to myself, 4 is the max. If I go on a podcast, if there's a podcast and it's like 4 people, everyone's got different opinions. It's too hard to keep track. But unless it's Joe Rogan can make it work in a certain way.
Yeah,
but
because you know the voices that are there. You got Brandon Sharp, the other dude, Eddie, Joe. So you kind of know what's going on.
So they're kind of established.
Yeah,
but there's some platforms out there where it's like 6 people. And I have no idea. And they're trying to talk about like one thing, and it's just 6 different points of view about this one thing. And I'm like, don't. And then they start arguing, but I don't know who's arguing with you.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always said to myself, if it's 4 people or less, obviously it can be a podcast, it can be an interview. If it's more than 4 people, it's like a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like an actual comedy show or, you know, like late night show. And that's why I just... Whenever it's more than 4 people, I just don't listen to it and all that, unless I have to watch it specifically.
If I'm listening to a podcast, if I wouldn't listen to a podcast to learn, I won't listen to something that's got more than 2 people.
Good. Yeah,
so
agreed.
It has to be the host and the person they're asking. If it's like this, where it's conversational, 3 to 4, max 4. So like Joe Rogan does it well with Protect Our Parks.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Oh,
that?
yes.
That is my favorite. Like I will listen to that all the time because those 4 people crack me up.
Yeah.
But if it goes down to like I'm trying to learn something, 4 people, you get lost.
Yeah. Well, if we had a platform like that, what would you call it? Save our oceans?
Save
our
our
oceans.
I'm going to go off the tangent. I was going to call it Fuck the Turtles.
Fuck the turtles.
Yeah.
What do you got against the turtles?
I don't know. They're just overrated.
Just said stuff to be inflammatory.
They live to 100 years and do nothing.
How the fuck?
It's like humans.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, there's that. I mean, there was actually one thing that was actually on my mind lately because it's pretty much almost impossible now to open up your phone, or it used to be, I don't know what it is now because I'm off social media, and not see Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
And then nowadays,
Now it's gone.
Now it's gone.
But now you got all these other like figures popping up randomly.
No, I feel like it's like the Tate. I call it the Tate effect.
I love it.
Well, quick breakdown. Why do you think that is? Why do you think he's now disappeared? I mean, there's an obvious reason.
Right? But I feel like he just kind of opened up. I feel like, you know how he talks about he said something about a 3-step process. The first step was what he did was like when he blew up on social media. The second step was obviously, like you said, getting cancelled and coming back. No one ever knew what the third step was, and always had the idea that there was going to be like, he's inspired now like an army of people like him who are doing a similar thing, like the Fresh and Fit podcast, like the whatever podcast. There's guys out there like Sneeko and there's other people that sort of like follow him.
Do you know what I think third step was?
What?
Disappear.
Really? You reckon he wants to just disappear?
I reckon.
Well, I think the most successful people who have a really good example of this.
Yeah.
Do you guys know this guy Sam Ovens?
Yeah.
No, please, who?
Legend.
Well, okay, so ages ago he had this thing called consulting.com.
Okay.
And it was basically like for people who have some form of consulting business or have some form of professional service that they can turn into a consulting business. So he had like this online program and he'd teach you. It was consulting.com, jump on, and there's like 3 levels. One's like $2,000, the next one's I think like $5,000 or $6,000, the next one it's like $30,000.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's like a mastermind. You get access to him and all this other stuff and whatever. I could get those prices wrong. I'm sorry, Sam. But he doesn't know who I am. He's over in America. But he, when you watch his early videos, okay, I'm going to say this with the utmost respect for the community. I think he definitely is on the spectrum. When you watch him, he is very matter of fact. The language he uses is very robotic. And you can see throughout for like 5 years, he's like growing and transforming. Right at the end, before COVID, he completely disappeared. And then during COVID, he was gone. And then I think maybe mid last year, this video comes on YouTube out of nowhere and it's, I'm back. And it's him and it just zoom in on his face. He's like, I'm back. And he's got this super long hair and it's hilarious. But he disappeared and he goes into what he did. And while he was gone, he created a software program, now building that up, soldconsulting.com, focusing on this thing. He's like, I did what my plan was and realized that right at the end, the plan was to disappear, make $30 million passive income each year, all that sort of stuff. He had done it. And he goes, it was fruitless. Like, now I've got nothing to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. You see, you notice the guys that disappear are the ones that, make a good story about. Robert Downey Jr., Dave Chappelle, Brandon Fraser, just then finally won an Oscar when he disappeared.
I love it, man.
The Renaissance, he disappears out of the acting scene for about a decade, comes back, wins an Oscar just like that for a great film, The Whale. But
what Oscar did he win? What movie did he win the Oscar for?
Best Actor.
Oh, Best Actor for what? What movie?
The Whale.
Oh, yes. Have you seen it?
I have Wikipedia'd it.
He doesn't even watch anymore.
Do you watch stuff anymore?
I just Wikipedia stuff. I'm a reader.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad we got into the realm of movies lately because I feel like that in the last maybe last year, it was really noticeable last year. But do you feel like movies are just going to shit right now?
Oh, yeah. The creativity and the originality is just going downhill,
It's just reboots, but it fits the woke narrative. Like, I dare go down. Look, I'm okay. Look, listen, black actors, trans actors, I got no problems. I want you to succeed. But at the same time, imagine if we got Chris Pratt to play Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
Do you think that shit's going to fly?
It's like that Chris Mooney joke. I'm going to say it. African Americans, I am quoting a quote. I am quoting a quote. A quote by Chris Mooney. Imagine how, you had Brad Pitt with the Mexican, you had Daniel Day-Lewis with The Last Mohican. Imagine they had Tom Hanks and the movie's called The Last Nigger on Earth. It just would not work. And this is a quote to the community. This is a quote by the great Chris Mooney, Charles Mooney, whatever his name is. Imagine that, Tom Hanks, The Last on Earth. It just would not work, baby.
Yeah.
But somehow they would do it.
Well, it's just because it's like this. One of the best movies to come out last year, they say, was Top Gun. Have you seen Top Gun?
I'm not
The
a fan.
reboot, Maverick?
I'm not a fan of Top Gun.
Not a fan of Top Gun?
I liked the filming. I liked all the action.
There you go.
The acting was not great.
Thank you. So that's the thing, right? I feel like even though Top Gun itself, like what goes around, like one cannot be stunned by like, you know, the fighter pilot, the fighter pilot scenes and all how they film that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. But judging by like certain acting standards, it wasn't really that good. But then I was saying to myself, it's because the bar for movies has literally gotten so low.
Yeah.
Like
the thing is, for the movies are sucking, but TV series are getting really, really good, especially Korean TV series.
okay.
And you could go into it.
Because like what makes you want to watch a movie is not the script,
Yeah.
it's not the special effects, it's the character development in the
Thank
character.
you.
You get drawn into the characters. You makes you, why should I cheer for this person? And you get drawn into the emotional story of this person. That's what makes you want to watch a story, and that's what great storytelling is the emotional development of how we can turn this and this from the start of the movie, how you can hate him at the first 5 minutes but then love him the last minute. You turn it around, and that's what great storytelling is. And it's TV series, especially Korean TV series right now.
They are good. I never thought about that.
Really doing that and creating those complex broken characters, and that's the people, and that's, you know, are usually the characters that people want to go for and, like, you know, kind of like emphasize with.
Yeah.
You know, because people relate to characters that they relate with and they emphasize with those, and that's what makes us want to watch those things.
Well, what ones have you seen that you think are like a top notch?
Okay, this is well, it's actually not Korean, it's actually Japanese.
Yeah.
It's called Midnight Diner.
Midnight
It's
Diner.
slowly blowing up, and it's making us slow. It's becoming cult status. The first episodes were released in like 2012, but the emotional like roller coaster that puts you on with the characters that only get featured for one episode each is just like, oof.
Wasn't Squid Games Korean?
Squid Game's Korean, but this one's Japanese.
Yeah, as
it's,
well.
it's a movie and a TV series
Ooh.
called Midnight Diner, where
Midnight
basically a well-known chef opens a diner at midnight, and the stories are about the characters that come in and they eat a dish, and that dish is like the starting point of whatever turmoil or story that they're going through, and it's really, really good.
Okay. I like
character
that.
development.
Yeah, because I remember there were definitely some really good Korean TV shows. There was one called I think it was called All of Us Are Dead.
Yeah, it's a really good series.
You see that?
Yeah, they are, man. The roller coaster that puts you through the characters, how you can literally like, hate one character and then sympathize with it and then love them the next, and then they kill them off just like that.
Yeah.
Just those kind of stories, you know.
Did you see that one?
It's
No,
really,
not yet.
It's really
It was
good.
so good. It was like that zombie one, and it was in a high school.
Yeah.
But there was like a whole bit of a twist around. Like these kids are trying to get out, and these people are trying to save them. But at the same time, they're sort of coming to terms about themselves. The other one that I saw was really I can't remember what it was called, but here's the premise of it. There's this like cult that's come into society where they believe that people are bound for hell, and they have like a countdown, and when their time is up, these 3 demons just arise out of nowhere.
You're right.
And they just literally just beat the shit out of you, and then they set you on fire. And it's the idea that these guys, they're going after bad people.
Yeah.
So they believe that they've done something that's make them like bound for hell. I don't know. I can't remember what it was called, but I'm probably sure it'll come to me at some point. But yes, I do actually I do agree with what you're saying about how Korean TV is surprisingly actually really, really good. You know, it's dominating though.
It's dominating the Netflix series.
And I do agree with you what you say when TV shows are taking over, because I'm pretty sure last year everyone was talking about how good what was it, House of the Dragon was.
Yeah.
And then now everyone's talking about how good The Last of Us is.
Yeah.
Is anyone watching that?
Oh, no, I haven't.
I've only just seen the little clips of YouTube here and there off my algorithm, but not too much. 'Cause I didn't really play the game that much because I'm not really into like American storytelling game time, but I just see the little clips here and there.
It was, yeah. Well, it was good because The Last of Us is known for being The Last of Us was literally the last PlayStation 3 game before it jumped over to PS4. So that's what made it so special and so significant. And it was one of the only few games, other than GTA, was to get like a 10 out of 10 across all the platforms. So that's why when everyone was like going to, obviously they make it, they want to stay true to source material. and they did it, and that's what made it so popular. And that's where I'm getting it into this next point is I can't stand it when you get a book, you get a comic, or you get a game, and the people who make it don't stay true to the source material. And I feel like that pisses everyone off, because like one of the biggest flops of last year I heard was the Rings of Power. Now, I didn't watch the Rings of Power.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
You didn't mind it? Yeah. It's just the biggest criticism they say it was not staying true to the lore. Yeah. And you're seeing it now with Henry Cavill and The Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
Because he left The Witcher because they weren't staying true to the lore and all that. Even the guy who wrote the Witcher books, he's like, nah, I don't even like the TV show.
Nice.
So
it's a cash grab these days, eh?
Yeah. Well, that's what then the next point. I do feel like it is becoming a cash grab, like Marvel.
Oh yeah. I'm literally lost in the timeline of what is actually in canon now. Like what
I stopped watching
after Endgame. I stopped.
Yeah, I think I watched a couple. What did I watch?
I didn't watch any of the series.
I watched I can't remember. The one that ended with like the call to Blade. Was that the Immortals?
Oh, the Eternals.
Eternals.
Yeah.
That one.
That one, a lot of people gave shit on that one, but I actually enjoyed that. I remember.
Yeah, I liked that last bit.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was good.
Yeah, Spider-Man was good. I mean, because obviously it was fan service.
Yes.
Like,
as soon as you put Toby in there, you got everyone.
Fan service and my service for those that follow me on Facebook.
Fair enough. Oh yeah, you spoiled it, didn't you?
Yeah,
you spoiled.
I lost. I think I had about 10 people unfriend me on Facebook because of that, and I found it hilarious.
No,
spoil
what? Spider-Man. I put Tobey Maguire walking through the portal as my profile picture. No, so I had to see it, and then I put up videos of like Andrew Garfield walking up the portal, so they had to see it and then stuff like that.
Love it.
Why?
Because it's funny.
Why'd you do it? Yeah, I think you did that to me as well in for Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I put Charles Xavier.
Yes. And I sent you a message saying, how dare you?
Yeah.
it's just funny.
Well, it's just like, I feel like people want to go to these TV shows, these movies. I feel like they want to be surprised. They want to be like, they want to have that nostalgia.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, I feel like it's impossible now because of social media and how quickly people post about it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like TikTok as well. I haven't been on TikTok in fucking months. But one of the reasons I didn't like TikTok was because it actually ruined Spider-Man Endgame for me. Because I didn't see it on the opening night. I saw it after the opening night.
Yeah.
All that, And then I pretty much fucking had always seen clips on TikTok. And I was like, oh, well, I may as well watch him now because now I know what's going to happen.
Damn TikTok.
Yeah. What is up with this TikTok lately? Do you guys even use it anymore?
I don't. But me and Brandon, we've had some good chats about the history behind TikTok and what's used for. Brandon can tell you a story like
what
the Arterium.
Tell the story, man.
The Arterium. Oh, okay. Well, apparently there's this theory of the Arterium is that if you go watch TikTok in Asia like China, all the videos are all educational.
Oh yes, I've heard about this.
But but you watch TikTok here in Australia and America, it's just stupid stuff or just like chicks trying to impress people. And the theory behind that is like the creators of TikTok, the Chinese, let that happen so white Western society become dumber. Why Asian society become smarter. Yeah.
Wow. Well, for me, the reason why I never really like TikTok that much is because I found it literally just porn.
Exactly.
It was literally porn.
So it's just like, that the valuing aspect to make people dumber, make it more numb, while, in China and all that, people are actually getting smarter, actually getting educated. So it's that subliminal, training going on in there.
So can you just set your phone to Chinese then and watch TikTok and then it will maybe happen? Or is it something like a location thing?
I don't know. Maybe it's like similar to like Netflix where you can change your IP address. I don't know if you can do that with your phone. Maybe you can if you're a nerd. But I've never really gone down that rabbit hole of changing my IP address of TikTok to China.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, you're gonna be a dad soon. Does any of this stuff like do you worry about any of this kind of stuff?
Yeah, yes and no. Like there are, when I was younger and I was thinking about being a dad and, quick little disclaimer, I'm going to talk about some Christian content. So if you're not a Christian,
hey, it's absolutely fine.
See ya.
I want that smoke.
I remember when I was at Bible college, so like Jamil and I went to this college where we were just learning about the Bible, Jesus, all that sort of stuff. Right. And, mainly it was just us running wild, being 18-year-olds, throwing friends into walls, being stupid. But I remember at one session we were learning about Revelations. And Revelations is the last book in the Bible, and it basically talks about the end of the world. And so it's, is it John? John
wrote it on the
John,
when he was exiled on the island of Patmos.
Yeah, probably super high on DMT as well, right?
Yeah.
But he had all of these illusions and dreams of what the end of the world would be, and writes this letter, writes essentially his account of what it looks like. And when you go through it and you like kind of try to translate it into today, a lot of it makes a lot of sense. You're seeing a lot of signs that we're probably in the end times. And I remember when I was...
Sorry, just to cut you off there. Can you give us an example of...
No.
Okay.
Not off the top of my head, because it's been a while since I've read it.
Okay.
I can find some stuff while we're talking, and I'll bring it up if you'd like.
Okay, yeah.
But we were in a session, we were learning about it, and I remember thinking, oh man, if we're in the end times, what's the point of doing anything, right? If the end of the world is coming, what's the point? And I remember talking to one of my friends and saying, oh, I think we were talking about kids. I was like, oh, do you want kids? And he's like, yeah, I can't wait. He's like, what about you? I'm like, nah, like I don't want to bring my kids up if it's the end of the world. And he turned, looked at me like dead straight in the eyes and said, that is such an unfaithful way to live. Like that's, what did he say? It's like, that's not biblical, and where's your faith? So basically, if we believe that, when you accept that Jesus is your Lord, then you're good. You're under his protection, you're sweet. If you believe that, then you shouldn't be living in fear of what is to come.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
So for me, I look at things like social media, and I interact with a lot of young people now. And I often get annoyed because I'm like, their attention, and this is coming from someone with ADHD, by the way, their attention span is so short.
Correct.
They're just after the next dopamine hit.
Correct.
And they don't have the patience to wait for something. And on top of that, there's a big sense of entitlement. So
yes.
All of that really annoys me. For me, I'm like, I can't protect my kids from the stuff in the world or what's happening, social media, all that sort of stuff. But I can start, one, by working on me, and two, with doing whatever I can to effectively communicate that as they're growing up. So instilling good values and virtues and making sure that they understand what is valuable and what is not. And if I do that and then give them the space to learn that on their own, hopefully they'll become a good person. But I'm past trying to control other people, including my kids that are not born yet. But when they're born, I'm definitely not going to let them jump on a phone straight away. I'm not going to give them a phone when they're 6, as I saw someone have.
Good.
My goodness.
That
crazy.
scares the shit out of me. But here's the thing though, like someone was saying this to me, like, I understand that our culture is so obsessed with phones, and it's definitely my generation because I've just started a new job, and at a new gym.
Nice.
And this gym is filled with young people.
Yeah.
And every single fucking one of them is, not every single one, but I'm exaggerating a bit, but a lot of them just want to film their sets. They want to film TikToks. For me, I'm always like, put my hoodie on, 45 to an hour, all I fucking need, I'll smash it out.
Yeah.
And I had the idea that if I wasn't feeling like, somewhat near tired, or, I wasn't putting a certain amount of weight or doing a certain amount of exercise, and I will get mad. I will get really fucking irritated with myself.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I see training. That's just a mental thing I see training, science aside. But a lot of these kids, they're just taking photos, they're just taking videos, they care more about looking good than being good. And I think to myself, well, why am I getting mad at that? But then I think to myself, I understand that's their poison. But then if you go back in time, and I think to myself, I think it was someone who told me, as an older generation said this to me, I'd rather have my kid who's addicted to something like that, like their phone or TikTok, than back in my day when everyone was addicted to drugs.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like to myself, oh, that's different because everything's shifted now.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I think someone said this to me, but dude, smartphones are the new cigarettes.
Huh.
It's literally the cigarette, and then the app is what led to the drug. Because some people always say a lot of people who take drugs smoke cigarettes as well.
Yeah.
And it starts with cigarettes, and then it can lead to marijuana, and then it can lead to fucking, I don't know, cocaine or heroin or crack or whatever the fuck people take these days, or ecstasy. It's like that. The phone is the cigarette, and then each social media is a different form of drug, and they say TikTok is probably the most potent.
Yeah.
Did you Google it, by the way?
Yeah, I had a look. A look at a few. The biggest ones are, and I would say, I'll translate it into modern language. Basically, you think of the 4 horsemen.
Okay.
So, bunch of war, famine, pestilence, what's called godlessness. So we're seeing atheism increase more and more year on year, or a belief in the universe and all that sort of stuff. So something that's not God. So it's not a God, it's something else created someone, and so it's a godlessness. There was it talks a lot about disease, so that there will be, hang on.
Just getting deep in here, guys.
Cool.
But it's just crazy end times, you know.
Well, what about you?
What about me? Yeah.
Do you feel like, the end is nigh?
I 100% believe I would not be surprised in my lifetime if it could happen.
Okay.
It could happen just as signs of the times the world's going, how, like, if you think of the last 20, more crazy stuff has happened in the last 20 years than it has in the last maybe 50 years.
Yeah, correct.
But
I think
time's just crazy right now.
Yeah. I think someone once told me this, but if you were to turn all of the Earth's time from the Big Bang to where we are now and put it on a clock, right?
Yeah.
And then you, right from the very first moment the Big Bang, the Earth was formed to today, human civilization would literally exist in the last 3 seconds of the final minute.
Yeah.
That's how far, how pretty much we come, pretty much,
Yeah.
And I do believe that in some form of the apocalypse, but however, I don't think it will be the actual end of human civilization. No,
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the end like what the end sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be, lightning, thunder, God comes down and smites people. I don't think it's that. I think it's what we see in the Bible as well is the way they talk about time is very different. Mm-hmm. So when it says this will happen and then this will happen, the length of and then can be hundreds of thousands of years.
Yes.
So it's not all going to happen all at once.
Yeah. So you're saying it's not going to be like this is the end?
We're not going to walk out and there's Armageddon happening.
How funny would that? Okay, let's just say hypothetically.
Simpsons episode, man.
The movie is at the end.
We exit this podcast room right now. Shit's going wild. You see a devil with 2 dicks just walking across the sky.
This is the end.
What are we doing, boys? What's going down?
Man. Then I'll be like, why am I still here, man? What's going on here? I've been making some phone calls, I'm like, bro, what's going on?
Come on, man. I did everything I was supposed to.
It's like, come on, Jesus. Get me out of here, But crazy times right now, Joe. Crazy times.
I'd probably just break into a house in Peppermint Grove and just hold up there,
Why Peppermint Grove?
Because Peppermint Grove's
far
like the
away.
most expensive place
Is it?
to live in Perth, I think.
Okay, quick question then. Survey. What is the zombie apocalypse strategy? What are you guys doing?
Ooh, depends what zombies it is.
All of a sudden, we get this notice from World Health Organization. There's been an outbreak in Perth of this new strain of whatever. Won't say it online, so you don't get a...
Yeah.
Okay. It just depends on the, I always tell people it always depends on the type of zombie. If it's the Walking Dead style zombie where it's just the slow ones, where they can't even open a door.
That's nonsense, man.
Yeah. If that happens, I'm totally chill. All right, I'll just grab a couple swords. I don't know, just fucking start swinging. I'll do the Negan, grab my baseball bat, put some barbed wire. I'll be fine. If it's like World War Z style zombies, the sprinters, get the fuck to the river because I'm pretty sure they can't swim. Just get the fuck to the river. Get on some rich guy's boat. Just live on the ocean.
Go to Right Nest.
Yeah, may as well.
Unless there's an outbreak there.
Yeah,
but you kill them all and then you're sweet.
Yeah, just get on that boat. Just get on a fuck off big boat and just become a pirate.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Sail the seas, you know what I'm saying? Viking style.
What about you?
If I had a strategy, I would go to the nearest market garden, take over that market garden, so I've got infinite crops for life.
Okay. Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like long term here. If I can survive, I can go to like some Vietnamese house market garden. I've got crops. I've got a house. I got weapons in there. I've got like, you know, all the stuff ready for to help me lay low for a couple of years at least, you know what I'm saying? And because it's a market garden, it'll always be in the middle of nowhere. You know, I don't know how long zombies can walk until the middle. Have you ever been to Banana Nurseries in Carabuda?
No.
If you were to walk from June up to Banana Nurseries in Carabuda, it's a long walk of nothing, bro. Literally.
So you reckon the zombie would just die of boredom?
Oh, bro, he'll probably turn back and it's like, stuff this. Let's go back to the main city, guys. Let's go back to mainland, eh?
Well,
inland's a good idea. Inland or the sea.
Yeah. If you think about it, Perth would be a really, really good place to be if there was a zombie apocalypse.
Australia would be. If you can get more central, you're sweet.
Correct. Because there's so much space to go to, and there's so many ways to get out of the city as well.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan talks about that. He's like, if there's a nuclear end of the world, I'm going straight to Australia.
Goes to Australia. Yeah. Smart something there. Or New Zealand. Live out in the mountains, eh?
I can see you like full monk mode,
mate.
You just meet Brandon one day, scale the mountains for days, and then you're just sitting on top of the mountain.
Nah, man.
Develop this like full beard.
Nah, you'll see me in a full robe walking out like Mark Hamill and what's it called, in the last Star Wars movie. You know, going, who are you? I'm like, hello, Ray. You know what I mean?
But it's like his mustache is like falls all the way
Fu
down.
Manchu. Yeah.
I wish I could grow a beautiful mustache like that, but my white jeans won't allow me, eh?
I thought you were talking about like jeans you put on. I'm like, who has white jeans?
No, my white jeans.
Who has white jeans anymore? You're right.
Oh, bro, white jeans were a thing maybe like 10 years ago. But
you had some.
I think I had a pair. But the thing is, when I think of white jeans on guys and girls, imagine if you needed to take a shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's too risky.
It's way too risky.
Yeah.
It's way too risky. Things happen. I've been at work sometimes. I've just been chilling. I'm like, oh gosh, sure. Need to go home, guys. You know what I'm saying? You know,
have that space between a fart and a shit. You just gotta take a chance.
Yeah,
it's risky.
It's happened.
Question: when was the last time you ever wore white jeans, though?
Me?
Yeah.
I've never worn white jeans.
Never worn white jeans.
I wore a cream-coloured suit for my wedding.
Yeah.
That was a nice suit.
And I still have those pants. I wear them every now and then.
Yeah.
But that's as close to as white anything that I come to. I don't even have white t-shirts.
Off track. At Brandon's wedding, he had some big names at his wedding, like big names of Parliament. Joe, I think I'll tell you. Joe, do it off track. You'll like the story, Joe. There's one time, me and Brandon, we got invited to, we can't say his name obviously, but a really high level member of Parliament to his house in Mandari.
Wow.
And he showed us all his guns, and he took us,
I would go to his house for the apocalypse.
Yeah, hell yeah. And he took us, and he took maybe about 10 of us to a firing range to shoot guns. He showed us all his war relics, and don't get me wrong, this guy is a legit hunter. Like he literally regularly, like, we'll go to the military base, do tours and all that, and he'll beat the military guys in shooting. He could have went to the Olympics.
He was an Olympic shooting coach.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But in Chad, just full time going to politics, but he is an elite level huntsman shooter. You go to his house, there's photos of him like with big game, just posing your big game.
He's a very unassuming guy as well.
Very unassuming guy.
Very successful in business.
Is he like one of those guys, if I saw walking down the street, I just think it's an just a regular dude.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing.
He was like a millionaire by the time he was like 23 or 21, something ridiculous like that.
How did he get rich?
Property.
property
development.
all in his early 20s. And what's crazy, the reason why he kind of like invited us over to like show his guns, shoot guns to the firing range, because he was kind of like winning us over to vote Liberal.
Yeah,
in a way, he's like, guys, you gotta.
We're
vote
giving
Liberal.
away pretty much like everything to identify this guy.
we can't say the name, but obviously, like it was like a way to show that, like, yeah, man, you guys did win us over, because me and Brown, we used to be very involved in the Liberal Party.
Really?
Like, yeah, we were going into like the Liberal parties, like in after parties, into the showrooms,
Wow,
into like high suit events and all that.
what was it like?
Oh, so boring.
Really?
I still regularly go to some of them.
He goes to some of them a lot.
Really?
Not so. I'm what I would call politically agnostic. So I don't have a side anymore. I've been asked a couple of times to, and I think it's very premature when they ask, but to run.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not like I enjoy those events. I think growing up in the church that that got me right in the throat. Growing up in the church that we did grow up in, we became politically savvy.
Wow.
So you're around these people that are in parliament, and you're around these local members and that sort of
Highly
stuff.
successful businessmen.
Plus, Perth is very small game.
Oh, of course.
So Perth politicians are usually pretty down to earth.
The ones that I've met actually are, yes, I would agree.
Usually. There definitely are some people that are not. But even our premier, he's a pretty down to earth guy.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say, I think someone said to me, McGowan is just, he's that one dad that everyone loves at the barbecue. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the best way to explain him.
Yeah.
It's like that one dad that just rocks up. He knows he's done a lot of mistakes in his life, but he's happy to just, be there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
I mean, the amount of times my people I know have run up to him in a bar or just run up to him in an event, and he's always taking photos. He's always happy to talk to
The people's man.
He's the people's man. That's
People's man.
right. That's the word. Yeah.
People's man.
You were saying?
He's a great example of that. But where was I going with it?
I was talking about
Your people asking you to run.
Oh yeah. Perth politicians are pretty down to earth people. I think that's what I was going with.
Yeah, they are. But it's wild. Okay, but off the story, but that's a true story. And he paid for our. We went to a Chinese restaurant after, about 20 of us, and he paid for the whole meal, like easy pocket cash, bang. And you go, what's crazy? What's crazy, Joe? Man still lives with his parents, absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
Still lives with his parents. He bought this wicked house. He lives there. His parents live downstairs. Massive house, overlooks like the marina. Absolutely gorgeous. But great guy. But I tell you now, if you're young and getting involved into politics early in a positive way, good way.
Well, I will also say it depends on what party.
Depends on what party.
If you're at university and your friends come up to you and say, "Oh, join the Greens party," watch out.
Yeah. We're going to funny story about that one.
Yeah.
So
We don't want Marxism in WA.
I'm sorry, listeners, but you just heard it. Okay, I'm sorry.
when I was in university, there was a socialist party, and these people, they would hang outside the library every fucking Wednesday, just trying to sell the newspaper, trying to sell the protest, some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I just think to myself, when I was in university, I just wanted to put my fucking head down, study it, and get the fuck out. That's all I cared about. And these people out there every Wednesday, I'm just thinking to myself, how do they have the time?
Yeah.
How could you? I'm like, because whenever I meet someone and they're telling me something, and I always believe in the past, and even though it doesn't define you, but it does give you some indication of why you are the way that you are.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying to you, what happened to you guys? Like, what got you so down this route? Did somebody like steal your lunch money when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Did your daddy lose all his money, or did he get conned out?
Yeah.
What's going on here? What's going on here?
Do you know
guys?
what I've found?
Yeah.
Most of them come from money.
That's the thing. Do you hate money because you had so much of it? Yeah. You just feel guilty that you had it.
They hate money because they have the privilege to afford to hate money.
Yeah.
They don't have to work because someone else has worked for that. And I'm not saying everyone is like that, but a lot of the people that I've spoken to are like that.
the root of all evil, baby. Money.
Love of money.
Yeah.
The love of money is the root of all evil. A lot of people get that wrong.
They do, but like if you were born, if you were born into money and you go like full like socialist or full communist, I'm just like, to me that's just like the biggest 180 ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is I'm trying to get with these people is just that they were so hard to communicate with. It's just, they're one of those people you meet that's like, it's like, here are my terms. I will not compensate for anything that you believe. You have to compensate for everything I believe.
Yeah.
And we'll shame the fuck out of you if you don't.
Yeah. There's no compromise.
That's the thing. There's no compromise. An intelligent person I've always met is, not all of them, but a lot of them are very, very open-minded.
Yeah.
They're very transparent.
Was it Socrates that said, I know nothing, and because of that makes me the wisest of all?
Ooh.
Yeah.
So the smartest people I know are the ones that are just the constant learners, right?
Yes.
So one of my current business partners, he's a very successful person in his own right already. Has a couple of companies making in excess of $100 million a year. Very, very, very successful. We now have like a recruitment company together, and he knew nothing about recruitment. And almost overnight, now he knows as much as a lot of recruiters I know, because he desperately wanted to learn as much as possible, and will ask all the questions, ask dumb questions, ask questions that he knows the answer to, but he wants to see how you're going to answer it, because he knows nothing. And because of that, it makes him exceptionally smart. A lot of people are afraid to ask questions, though. Yeah. Because they don't want to be seen as dumb.
Yeah. Or have that confrontation. Like, I reckon half the world's problems could be solved. Like, you know how you see these online arguments or street arguments? If you can just invite someone down, hey, bro, do you want to get breakfast or lunch? And just chat about this with some food. Like, meet me down to the bar, have a beer, and just have a chat with me. And, like, get that relationship going, you know. And I think that's what the world really misses these days, is that no one gets in that in-depth relationship where I can talk to someone face to face in a neutral setting, you know, and just like, you know, spend some time with you and then kind of like get that familiarity, you know. Like if we took all like, you know, the world leaders together and get them in a room and just have them just break, you want to feed, you want some lasagna, you want a steak. I truly believe that food is the secret to bringing world peace. That's what I believe, you know what I mean? Like if me and Brandon were on disagreeing terms, and if he was a smart man or transparent man, I'd say, hey, bro, let's go get the lunch. Let's talk about this. Let's talk it out. Usually we'll come to a good agreement. Most people will come to agreement. But then you get, of course, the odd bunch where they don't want to hear any of it. So, bro, I'm literally saying, I want to listen to you. Let's just do it in a neutral setting. But they don't want any of it. They don't want any of it. It's crazy. It's madness. You can't reason those people. It's crazy.
Jamil, I don't think we've ever had an argument.
Oh, I think we've just had disagreements here and there. But we never had. Obviously, me and Brown, we have a really great relationship. You know, we've known each other for years. Brown is the kind of guy. I truly believe that everyone in their life needs two people they can rely on. Meaning, I'm gonna go deep here, Brandon. I'm sorry, I'm going to go. Everyone should have at least two people in the phone books where you know their address off by heart, you know their number off by heart.
Okay.
So if anything goes down, you've got them to rely on. At least two people. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be family members. This is a true story. I've been to Brandon's house unannounced when times have been tough and said, Brandon, something's going down. And he's let me in.
Did he say whose car were taken?
We actually did take a car. Yeah. And I stayed over his house. We've talked it through it. You know, it's been there. And I think everyone needs that in their lives. And if you don't have that, then you got to really ask yourself the question is like, am I putting myself out there and letting myself be vulnerable to people where I can like shed that piece of me with knowing that if anything goes down, I know there's someone I can rely on. Say, hey man, I'm vulnerable here. Can you protect my vulnerability here? You know what I'm saying? And that's something that not many people have and take for granted. But I truly believe you should have at least one or two people that you can do that with, where you know their phone number off by heart, you know their address. Or the opposite, where you can be that person. Yeah. Where if someone were to come up to your house unannounced, maybe you know them really well, maybe you've only known them once, maybe they responded to a Facebook post that you put, hey man, if anyone's lonely during Christmas, come over my place. And then someone actually does show up, like what do you do? Do you be that person? You know, are you willing to like, you know, set that time aside and actually, you know, back up what you're saying?
now is the perfect time to do that Joey Diaz quote.
I was about to say
yes, yes. Because you don't need 20 friends. You just need 3 bad motherfuckers that can take over a whole country.
Yeah.
See, because Brand, obviously, listeners don't know, Brand's a smart one. I've asked. He's obviously a smart one. But I'm the Joey Diaz where it's like. Where Brandon's like, thank God Jamil lives because I'm in a meeting right now, up to my nuts in this meeting, and Jamil just sent me a dick pic right now.
Yes.
Thank God he lives just to break the tension right now. So that's like our relationship, pretty much. That's really funny. I have sent him a dick pic.
Wait, what? Really?
I think we went camping and I got high off acid.
Super high.
And I tripped out on acid and I was drinking that night as well, and for some reason I was just sending him dick pics in my car, and he was in his tent as well.
It's like ding. Okay, open the message from Jamil. Dick pic. Jamil, what the fuck, man?
But 100%, you need those people in your life where you can have a laugh when you can go on those highs with, and you can also go on those lows with. You know, and if you don't have those people, then it's really time to ask yourself, man, I gotta find that person. I gotta put myself out there and really be vulnerable here. You know what I'm saying? But
people like Jamil brings me down to earth.
Wait, I got a question. Just humor me. Was the dick pic was it soft? Was it hard?
No, I don't think we should answer.
I can't say anything else, but it was hard.
What was the angle though? Was it like top down or down top?
We can't say anymore. It's pretty bad.
Put like a filter or a flash on it at least.
I think it was in my car, so it probably was a flash on there.
It was from the ground up, looking over the top.
When you say was there a flash on it? Yeah, it was my car indoor lights. You know when you fit the top bit, bing, you know.
Or one of those ones.
Yeah, one of those ones. You know. And this is like in 2016 when phones barely even had like lights on them, so it was just like, you know, this little 26 pixel photo away.
I've taken accidental dick pics.
Yeah.
Where
really?
I'm like, I'm like, I was in a public toilet. I've got like weirdly undexterous fingers. Mm-hmm. I've got really dexterous hands, but my fingers don't work as well as I want them to. So I'm like on my phone, and then I drop my phone, and it goes onto a camera. I go to pick it up and kind of squat over, and then as I pick it up, I hit like one of the volume buttons, and so I've taken this dick pic photo of me looking down, picking it up. Anyway, that's a bit
just the eye of Sauron. That's what he took. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I can't say I've never taken a dick pic because they understand they want you to have that lesson.
Yeah.
So when I started stripping and all that and doing top persuading, my mum always said to me, look, you can do it. It's fine. I'm not mad at you, but just understand whatever happens, it's on you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
was it good money? Stripping and stuff?
Depends on how you ask it. Like
I've got a few, yeah, I guess they'd still be friends, but I've got a few friends that have been like,
yeah,
they're females.
Oh, okay.
They made good money.
The girls, they make fantastic money. Depends. I don't care. Like, if in this day and age, like guys will go after anything. Like, I'm not shitting on the girls, but they don't even have to be fucking models. They don't have to be super fit. They don't care. Men will go for it. Yeah. In the male industry, you are constantly being judged and on display because men will go for anything. Yeah. Women are different. Yeah, women will always want to go for something higher.
Yeah,
not always. Most will, and that's why I was constantly trying to feel like I had to get bigger, had to get more leaner, had to keep the hair long, had to keep the pimples down. I was fucking going through puberty, had the puberty at a time, all that shit, you know. Stripping. In terms of money, it was good at times. I don't want to air the dirty laundry, but there was a lot of unpaid hours the company that I worked for. Yeah. There was a lot of rehearsals. There was a lot of tech runs. There was a lot of conflicts, a lot of issues I had with payments. But when it came to if it was a weekend work, where it was going to people's houses, it was pretty solid. It was pretty solid. It was enough. It was enough for me to get by, but for me it was a gamble. So like I could get X amount per job. But sometimes on the weekend, I only have like 1 or 2 jobs, and that would be the whole money that I would have for the week. Yeah. And that would have to last me till the end of next week. And it was just a constant feeling, fuck, what am I going to have this week? How much am I going to have this week?
Speaking of that, like in terms of, like, man, there's the only choice I had, what my parents think and the guilt and all that. Now with you kind of like new outlook of life, whatever you want to call it, and that you've been praying, that you've been reading the Bible and all that, you've been asking the questions. Now that you're in that state, like if you had like a call up tomorrow and say, hey bro, I need you back in the industry.
Fuck no.
You know what I mean? Like, do you feel
fuck no, absolutely fucking not.
That like if you were like, well, the way you are now,
yeah.
If you had a call like, hey, I need you to strip from this wound, do you feel that you would feel guilty doing it, or feel like I shouldn't be doing this? Or,
absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, do you feel like there's a new level of like conscience in you?
Oh yeah, well, because I've been asked,
like, explain
not
that.
by the same person who I worked for, but by other companies to do other jobs.
Yeah.
And by other people who want me to do favors for them.
Yeah.
Or there was this one that was actually from over east that turned down, and I just don't want it, because the thing is for me, like, the problem is with that job is there's no, well, there is, but there's very lack or little room for growth.
Yeah.
Because once you become a stripper, unless you start your own company, you can't go any further, or unless you go big baller and join one of those like Vegas groups.
Yeah.
Or I become part of like the Magic Mike itself group, and that's as far as you can go. That's really as far as you can go. Like Channing Tatum was literally 1 in a billion.
Yeah.
The one dude who made it into acting, but he wasn't. He was stripping to pay for acting.
Yeah.
Cardi B, rapper, stripper.
Yeah.
But it was pain. Stripping's never the end goal that you're famous for.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It leads to something else. It's a stepping stone to something else.
Like, I'm not like bagging people that work in the industry at all.
No.
That's not in that way. I'm just thinking like, like now that, with what you're going through and what you've been through the last few months, like how are you viewing stuff now? Like what made you want to think this way? What made you choose reading the Bible then becoming, instead of being like a Hindu, or reading the Quran, or becoming spiritual? Like, what attracted you to like essentially like Christianity, in general? Like where did that start, Joe?
Where did it really it actually just started just recently for me.
Yeah.
When I started to realize a lot of the people who I look up to today are actually all religious.
Yep.
And I actually feel like there's almost a complete lack of male role models.
Yeah.
I finished reading Chuck Palahniuk's Fight Club. I finally got to read it.
Yeah.
And I think there was a big passage about religion and about, why people tend to it. And then all the people who I actually look up to, like Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is probably one of the biggest influences I've ever had. I dare say Andrew Tate, in the good aspects of it. And people that I deeply admire for their intelligence as well. Yeah. Like Ben Shapiro, he's Jewish, and they can all agree on. They're people who some of those people who I see, all of them, they have this ability to drop ego because they believe that there's something greater than themselves, and I think that's because the way that they are, they understand they're not perfect, but they're always in a growth mindset, and it's also it's also like submission in a way. Submission is not a bad thing, but understanding that there is something. Oh God, it's really. I don't know if I can answer the question in full, but the people who I look up to, they obviously see something in it, because I aspire to be a lot like that.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see benefit, and it frees the way I think.
Yeah.
It's not boxing in everything. It's because we as humans, we're obsessed with knowing.
Yeah.
We measure everything. It's like time. No one told us that we need to know time.
Yeah.
We gave time its name.
Yeah.
Time has existed, but we were constantly around measuring it. No one told us that we had to.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of that there are things outside of our knowledge that we do not know about, and that is okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense though.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, you get that sense of feeling where you kind of like realize that, man, this isn't just about me anymore.
Yeah.
It's not just about me and what I want and like what I want to do. You realize that there's others out there, and then you start caring for the interests of the others for the greater good. You know what I'm saying? And then just start living that life of submission, of sacrifice, where they say if you do something good for someone else, you'll make you feel good at the same time, Some people say, I don't need religion for that, but at the same time, it's a pretty good guideline
correct.
to have there,
Well, that submission principle is also built into martial arts.
Yeah.
So that's, I've found, so when I first became a Christian, it was also around the time that I first started going into martial arts. And I found it quite synonymous. So that whole idea of submission not being a bad thing, we all know that because we do jiu-jitsu. It's a sign of, you got me.
Yeah.
And I think that is like my day-to-day thing. I tap out when I'm feeling the weight of things. And so it could be a quick, when we were talking about prayer before, prayer doesn't look like on your hands and knees with rosary beads and a Bible. It's, I need a little bit more of your support, God.
Yeah.
I need a little something that I don't have, which is, that's when we tap out. We go, okay, you got me. There's that strength that comes with that.
Yeah. And it kind of goes like both ways, having that submission of God. Like I've seen people, get in stages of life where they start asking those questions like, why this, why that? And they can either go two directions. They can either say, why, and then make something out of it and be like, okay, maybe this is a learning process. Maybe this is like, this happened, but it's cliche saying it is a lesson for the greater good. But you get the other half where people say why, and they just blame God, and they want that victim to blame on. And they go that completely opposite direction where, like a lot of time when I find people that are really like total against religion, like deep down, I feel that when I've asked them, it came to a pivotal moment of their life where they just said, God, why am I like this? Why did my parents break up? Why did I grow up in a broken home? And then they blame God, and they think that this is it because God, you gave me this, and they didn't do anything with it. And they just stayed in that moment and used that moment. You know what I mean?
They also find it in those moments too.
Yeah. So some people find those moments, but some people stick in those moments. They never know how to get out. And they constantly find themselves just swimming in that motion of going, blame this, blame that. It's not my fault. Why God would you put me in this prediction? God, if you were so good, so loving, so caring, why is it like this? But you get some people who get put in the exact same situation and come out of it even stronger. And they use that as a, example of like, man, this is why I'm not going to raise my family like this. I'm not going to be like how my dad was. I'm not going to be how like my mum was. I'm not, but crazy enough, like, in my circle, or the circle I've been with, all the best families I've ever seen, like me and Brand's families, all our friends all got married in their early 20s. All get married in their early 20s, 21, 23. All have great children, good-looking children, happy children. The children know what they want to do already by the time they're like 6 or 8. Not just that, but the couple, the guy and the girl, they have great careers. And they're making the relationship work. Meanwhile, I know people in their 30s or 28, and they're already on their second marriage, or they're doing casuals. You know what I mean? But for some reason, like people who are in like let's say a religious relationship with the Muslim or the Christian or the Hindu, usually the relationship works and the family sticks together. And I don't think there's any coincidence of when families stick together, most people become more successful when it's in
correct. I would actually argue
a
that.
Traditional mother and father home. Because I'll say I'm a traditional, but I truly believe that there has to be a father figure in the house, because I know that it's some things that a father can do that a mother can't do,
and vice versa.
Vice versa. Like none of us can give birth, right?
I'm
you ain't pregnant.
Yeah, that's right.
Your wife is pregnant.
I'm a full-on mama's boy as well. So love my dad, but our relationship grew in like my latter teen years with my dad. I was mainly raised. Dad and mum were together. She passed away 2 years ago, so they were together all the way through. So that like 2-parent household was great. But dad was absent a lot, mainly because he was working. Because he grew up with, I need to provide. So he'd just provide. He wasn't emotionally available or anything like that. But my mum always was. So I grew up being parented a lot by mum. And then as I grew up and started going into work and stuff, I started to exhibit a lot of the behaviors my dad had, because I saw what it looked like to work hard. And so then I started getting closer to my dad because I was working. So it's like the vice versa. You have different relationships with different parents at different times. But if you don't have both, I think you miss some of that. But you can also find pseudo parents, like in church. That's another reason why people who come from single parent homes and then go to church, they end up succeeding as well, because they have pseudo dads and mums in church. For me, I think going back to that whole thing of a single event happening to multiple people and then something different coming out of both people, it's because humans are meaning-making machines. So we look at things and we go, okay, what does that mean for me? If you grow up in church, there's a bit of a script that tells you why things happen. And it's ultimately because, one, we've got free will. So sometimes things happen because we made them happen. And two, sometimes in Ecclesiastes, it talks about like sometimes things just happen. It's not that there's design.
Okay, I want to ask you guys this now, because I don't know if this plays into your religious thing.
Yeah.
Because you believe that we always had the idea that God has a plan for us, and we talk about free will, then which one do you believe in terms of the idea that, you know, the future is constantly in flux and that every decision you make now, it determines your future, or doesn't matter what we do, it's set in stone? What one do you believe?
Like the predeterminism versus the...
Because I've always struggled with something like that, because I always like to believe, you know, I've started saying, look, it's in God's hands. If He wants me to suffer like this, I'll suffer like this.
Yeah,
Reverend Jamil.
It can go to a lot of directions. There's I can't say which one is right, because we will never know which one is right.
Yeah.
But one that I've always gravitated to when you say, you know, is it all set in stone, whatever I do, or do I have like another chance? I always bring it back to what we would call in Christianity the whole word of what grace is. So grace, what makes Christianity different to any other religion is the aspect of grace. So I could do something bad or make a bad decision. Maybe it was whether I was meant to do that, or maybe it was my own choice. But because of the grace of God, when I mean the grace of God, it means that, you know, God will say, all right, you know, you messed up, but I'm giving you the next avenue for the second chance, that even though you don't deserve it. And that's basically what the crux of Christianity is that, without going too deep, but the Christianity is that God the Son, Jesus, came down to earth to die for our sins, meaning that when he died, he was tortured, mutilated, beyond recognitions, because that's what humanity in a whole deserved as flawed human beings. If you think of every bad thing that the world's ever done, every bad thought, every bad thing humans ever done, I'm talking about murder, rape, pedophilia, stealing, we should get punished in the worst way possible. If you were to say, okay, your son has just been murdered by a guy, blah, 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 I'd be like, man, whoever murdered my son, he deserves the worst punishment possible. And that's what Jesus took upon himself, to take that punishment, something that we deserved, but he did himself. And that's what comes with grace, is that, you know, we got this special favor to go the second chance, even though we don't deserve it. So for me, I believe if I were to do something that I'm not meant to do tomorrow or today, like, it's the power of grace where I can make something out, but not to abuse it. Because once I'm abusing it, then I know that I'm not using grace anymore. I'm just, you know, just being a tool right now. But I know, if I know I'm working the power of grace, going, God, I've stuffed up, help me through this, then I know God can miraculously turn that around into my favor. And Brandon can testify this, where I've done crazy things in my life, and I am at where I am now because I completely surrender myself to God. All right, give me a second chance here to literally turn my life around and do something different. And I did that because I said, God, I want to surrender my will to you. If this is the way you want me to go, I'll do it. Because I know the past 25 years of me trying to live my life my own way is not working. And that's what draws people to Christianity and God. Is like, man, I've tried to do it my way and my way of thinking, my choices, and it's not worked. And the minute they start being open to, like, okay, God, okay, if this feels right, not just be weird, it was like, oh, you know, give me a sign, but just having that walking everyday trust in God, things usually, you know, start happening. We call it coincidence, like coincidences. You know, maybe it's not a coincidence that me and Brandon happened to meet you in a podcast room a few months ago, and all this starts happening. You know, but you usually find these stories, you know, where these coincidences just start happening, start building up, and we will never know what the true meaning of life is, if it's all real. In the end, we will never know. but at least while we're here on earth, that we can be that witness. Because I played a part in that, in some minute sort of way that I played a part in changing that person's life, whether it had to do with Christianity or not, you know. And that's what the whole grace part of spirituality is, or Christianity is that we get that power of second chance, and we use that second chance to go again, whatever mistake we make.
Is there anything you want to add to that, Brandon?
Going back to the original question, which is, I think it's ultimately about our understanding. And is that in Proverbs it talks about trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So it's that whole idea of, if we believe that as Christians we're part of, God talks about us as being adopted. So we're not just born into a family, we're adopted, meaning we were chosen. So if we're chosen, would the person who chose us not want the best for us? Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, then his plan for me is way better than my plan for me. And if I'm trying to understand what he's going to do, my brain will explode, because he's the one that created everything, right? So if he created everything, his plan for me is the best plan in the world. I'm kind of just okay with going with it. There are definitely things I want to control, and definitely things that I can. Like at work, if I just go in and go, well, I just see what happens, and I don't hit the phones, I'm not reaching out to new clients and customers and candidates, and I'm not leading my team, and I'm not doing what I can to constantly get better. That's not part of his plan, because he wants to partner with us. He wants us to be good at what we do, and he wants us to be, the Bible talks about salt and light in the world. So salt brings taste, salt preserves, light guides, light leads, light brings people in. So if we're doing all those things, we're being, one, good at what we do, two, good at who we are, aware of our values, what matters to us, and defending those, and three, surrendering and being in partnership with God. That's pretty much it. And then you kind of go with it. Like I've found myself in, and so has Jamil, and no doubt so have you, and many of the listeners have found themselves in positions maybe of influence, of power, of places where they probably shouldn't be, and they go, oh, this is cool. I've been in conversations with people, I'm like, how did I even get here? But there have definitely been times where bad things happen and I don't know why they're happening. So for me, there's part of what we are meant to understand, but there's a whole bunch of other things we're not meant to understand. And there's, I think, this thing called spiritual maturity, where you accept the things you will not understand, and that maybe you're not meant to. And you go, okay, cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
Cool. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we wrap this up?
As clear what Brandon was saying before about, growing up, in a pretty decent home, and how dad was always working. I think it's something that we might never know now as young adults, but we'll understand it as we go older and have our own families, that, what people need to do is find out that and understand that people communicate love and affection in different ways. Like similar to what Brandon, like as growing up, like I knew my dad and mum loved me, but they communicate in different ways of how I wanted to receive that love. So for example, a dad can show their love to their children much by working hard, by providing, by, doing the hours. But that son or daughter may want affection differently. Sometimes they want to hear the words, or sometimes they want to feel that, that healthy touch affection of a cuddle here and there. And some people, even to this day, don't receive that. Like, there's still children that have never been hugged before, never been heard from their parents. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Well done for doing that. And I think that takes a big effect in the growth of especially young people. And it's not the bad thing that, maybe the parent did a bad job. It's just that they didn't know how to communicate with their children or with their loved ones. I think that's what we as people need to do. We have to learn that, how we communicate is perceived different for everyone else. Like some people, like I go to Brandon, let's catch up. He loves a good catch up, physically there. Some people don't like that. Some people just want a big text. Some people just want a big phone call. You know what I mean? And once you understand that, you understand how this person receives what you want to give them, man, it just opens up, it helps out a lot once you know how someone how they receive things and how they like to do it, how they receive things. Some people are words people, some people are touch people, and once you understand, all right, this person likes it this way, this person likes it that way, and there's that communication, and that's what the world's missing these days, is that no one's really truly communicating. Everyone's trying to put their views out there, but no one's truly speaking to each other on a level one-to-one where they communicate, all right, this, or this. I was like, oh, okay, and understanding at that deeper level. Everyone just wants to have their little views. I know that I'm right. All right, well, tell me why I'm right. Okay, have that sit down. Yep. And that's what I love about, spiritual religion. I can have a friend. I've got plenty of Islamic friends, and I love them because they show more integrity in their faith more than I do.
Yeah.
And I 100% respect that, that they can back it up. Without going on tangent, how they got the whole, change the date for Australia Day. I'm like, well, why? I will believe you and support you if you give me some integrity to it, not just because this person is saying so, but give me some backbone to what you're saying. And I love that when people have a backbone and what they love and what they want to do. Brandon,
conviction of belief.
Exactly. Yeah. Brandon, your thoughts, baby.
Yeah, when you believe the thing out of your own... I respect you a lot, Joe, because you've gone through the process of discovery, where you go... a lot of people around me have spoken about this. A lot of the people that I like and admire are religious people. There's conviction. There's values that are associated with that. I'm going through a bit of a tough time. Maybe that's something I should look into. Jamil and I definitely for me, and I think you as well, Jamil, we found God in the same way, where we're going through something where we're trying to understand ourselves, the world, and we found God through that. I think the conviction of belief comes in that your own self-discovery, where you're trying to figure it out, and you don't go with what everyone else is saying.
Yeah, you gotta find yourself, and you don't have to be weird about it. Like the whole praying thing, you can literally just walk out your house on the way to work. It's like, God, give me a sale today, help me out for it. Let me, just normal conversation, stuff like that. And a really good part to read when it comes to Bible, read the New Testament, read the Gospels. 100%. Forget the other books, you can read them later, but just read the Gospels, Mark, Luke, John, the story about Jesus, and you'll realize, man, Jesus was a great bloke. What a guy.
For those who want something even more accessible, I'd also say there's an app called The Chosen.
The Chosen.
Download that.
Yeah.
It's just TV series. Start with season 1, obviously. And it's like a really good portrayal of what Jesus was like.
Yeah. Once you know Jesus, as in like what he stood for, the meaning, the name, that's what all comes through. Just read the stories and what he did, how he viewed the world. And then 100%, you can say anything you want about the church, Christianity, what's going on. But if you actually looked into the character, the figure, the man Jesus, you can't say anything against him.
Yeah.
100%. Like if you were to say, all right, tell me a story about Jesus, and if I can tell you a story about Jesus and what he's done and how he viewed the world and his emotional and his character development, you can't say anything against him if you really read it and looked into it.
Wow. Well, I'm glad we got to restart the podcast with this, because I kind of felt like I was gravitating towards something.
I had to draw it out towards the middle part because we were kind of drifting, and I kind of brought it back. I really wanted to get to that juicy bit.
I'm glad we got to have that conversation, though, because I kind of felt like it's not what I wanted to hear, but it felt like it was something that I know I need to hear.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much. This is just that last minute where I just need you to plug if anyone can find you, starting with Jamil. Where can the audience find you?
Okay, my Facebook name is unpronounceable, so don't look for my Facebook name. My Jamgram account, I should have said that now, but I won't tell you how to spell it. But my Coffee and Chokes again, coffee.andchokes. You can see all my stuff, all my content on there. Love yous all. If you're already listening right now, you already know who I am, what I'm about. You already follow me. I know who your haters are. And I know you view my stories every day, even though you don't even follow my account. I think it's pretty weird, but each to their own. Okay, but I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you didn't get what you wanted to get today.
Okay. Brandon?
Yeah, pretty unique last name. So Brandon Secomb, Secomb on everything. Yeah. My company, Temper.
Yep.
We are a career consulting and recruitment agency. So if you're out there trying to figure out what to do next in your career, hit me up. If you're a company looking for people, hit us up. That's pretty much it.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening. That is the Last Set podcast, and that is game.